All right, guys, today we finally have a pretty day. So we are gonna start working on just the teardown of the ZJ in preparation for these 1 tons. As you know, it's gonna be pretty slow progress. So these videos are gonna be a lot of just different days of me doing what little bit I can per day. But today we're going to be just removing all of the factory steering parts. We will be going with a full hydro setup whenever we swap to this Dana 60. The reason that we're even starting this swap right now is because I blew up my factory power steering box. I was having tons of issues with my power steering pump, and there was one other thing. The gearbox ripped off of the frame. Didn't actually break the frame mount. Like, there's still this plate, everything's in place, nothing bent, nothing got too messed up, but that's supposed to have another half to it, and it's broken off in the gearbox, and then the internals of that gearbox are also stripped out. And so I figured, if we're going through the process of rebuilding this thing anyway, let's go ahead and just do it right the first time and not just throw money at whatever little band-aids and fixes that I can put on this thing before I get it to where I want it. So we're gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna show you how to pull off the pump, and then we'll start pulling off the gearbox. All right, now to start off, your power steering pump are gonna be where these 3 bolts are. So you're gonna get a 12 millimeter, and I would do just a little 3-inch extension and pull your belt off. This is a 15. You just basically tighten a 15 so that you can get your serpentine belt off, and then you're going to free spin the wheel so that it lines up with these 3 holes and back those out. Now, once you have your power steering pump off, you're gonna hop underneath. This is a 15 mil, and that is gonna be what connects to your pitman arm. We had to pull that off when we were on the trail, but you're just gonna pop that off. It should be pretty easy to get off. This is what's supposed to be what you would have to use like a puller for. This, you can just kind of hit the side of the pitman arm with a hammer. I use just like a small shop hammer. I think this is like 4 or 5 pounds. I think it's 4. But just hit the side of it and it should come loose. This is an aftermarket one that I didn't have on there long, so it was really easy to get off. And once you have that out of the way, it'll have some hoses on it. I believe that they're 15 millimeter. One of them was a really weird size that I didn't have, so I ended up just doing an adjustable, but you just back off those, super easy. And then you have your box. The box is held on by 3 nuts on the side, 3 bolts. These, I believe, are those look like a 15, possibly a 17. I'm thinking 15, but 3 of those on the side. Should be 3. I only have 2, but should be 3. That's how you pop your box off, and then you can get the box off of, this is your steering rack from your steering wheel, goes down to there. When you get that off, it is a 12, no, it's a 13 mil, but just slide that over and then pop that off. All right, now we're underneath again. We're just gonna kind of pull up and then drop it down. It's gonna be kind of tight on there, but cutting off this whole front bumper, and I'm going to put some actual probably 2x4 or 2x6 steel 1/4 inch wall, and So I'm also going to be just removing this little hoop right here. This is what holds up, I believe this is the air conditioner condenser part, but there's just a couple of 10 mils that are holding that in, but you want to get all this out of the way. All right, now on each side, there's a pin, 2 plug welds, and 3 plug welds. I broke the top and bottom, the plastic pin, and the 2 plug welds there. I'm gonna actually drill out these 3 plug welds here, and see if I can't just peel it off that way instead of actually cutting into it. If nothing else, I feel like I weakened the plug welds. So we're gonna try to see if we can't. I'm gonna get a little chisel again. Cut through half of it. One pop. All right, that side is now free. There. Let's see, there might be one more. Hold on. No, there it is, third one. Yep, just 3 little plug welds. So we kept that. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Drill out the plug welds and then just pop up the plastic tab with a little hammer and chisel. All right, next we're gonna start pulling the radiator. And so I'm gonna I've loosened up the hoses, inlet, outlet, whichever way. There's a drain. You wanna drain all your fluids. So you're not gonna dump it out everywhere when you pull these hoses. But slide this under the lower part, and then whatever's left drips out of that. All right, now you gotta take the top part off, or at least I did. I couldn't find an easier way, so I'm just gonna put all those bolts back real quick. But just a bunch of 10 mils, kind of covering the top there. With this straight up. There's our broken radiator. All right, now I'm pulling this fan off, and I was using one of these little Craftsman screwdrivers to brace it, and these things suck. I've already broken 2, but look, I bet I could just, like, I can see it bending. Like, the thing only goes through to about right here. Like, past this is as far into the handle that the metal goes. So this handle is a super cheap plastic, and I've already broken at least 2 of these. But look at the angle. Like, these suck, but they're like 15 bucks. But my fan got bent up in the process of my steering box ripping off. The steering box got shoved over into it, and so we're either gonna replace it or go with a electrical one. So you can see, bent the fins up pretty good, every one of them. So that was really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it for as far as pulling things off of the front end. I might pull this. I honestly probably should replace it, just how smashed up it is, because this is where that Dodge truck's rear cage was pushing up into it. So I probably should replace it, just because there's a lot of just flat spots, and it would probably benefit from having some better flow through it. But I mean, I can see through it, so there's at least, for the most part, doing its job. But I'll probably either just replace it and put it back up here, or put it back in the trunk. I gotta see. I'm gonna keep it enclosed, so I don't want it to be just a bunch of loud things going on in the cab. So we'll see what we end up doing there. All right, so I talked with my buddy a little bit. He said leave radiator up front, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace the radiators with shorter and thicker ones, so they're still getting the same amount of cooling effect, but I can take off this little bar right here. It's the lowest hanging spot on these ZJs, and so that's immediately gonna get me probably about 4 to 6 inches of ground clearance just by taking this off. Just 4 17mm bolts. So yep, opens up the front end a ton. So much room for activities. But yeah, I'll have to look into different radiator mounts and stuff. I'll probably just go with an Amazon one or something cheap, because I mean, as long as it's got the the height and width I need, the material itself doesn't truly matter all that much, to me at least. I'm sure if you're running more high horsepower vehicles than just a factory Jeep, then it probably matters a little bit more. But yeah, that immediately gets us at least another, probably, well, let's just measure. That's probably a good 6 inches of ground clearance. Let's give it 5 inches of ground clearance. That's a pretty good chunk right there. So that whole thing is gone. Also a little weight savings, and it gives me further back that I can weld the plate for my winch as well, so that it'll be more well supported. Sweet. All right, I'm about to call it for the night, but just wanted to show you how far we got. We got radiator pulled, fan pulled, steering pulled. I'm gonna leave the tie rod on. I'm gonna give that to one of my buddies. But I threw one of the front frame stiffeners on just to see. It's not welded, obviously, huge gap. But I just wanted to see how far forward it's gonna be. That's gonna give me an idea of how I'm gonna run this bumper setup. But I mean, look at the amount of clearance I have now. I'm gonna back up, throw the light there. Easily added 4 inches of clearance, which is gonna be good for as big as these axles are anyway. I'm not sure how forward it's gonna be, but I don't want anything that's gonna be in the way to be there. So ideally, I would throw all that stuff in the back and have that extra 1.5 feet of clearance, but I don't see that happening with this build. We're gonna keep it a little bit more tame, have it just for probably the next few years and then work on something else. But just wanna make it nice and make it usable and drivable and fun while I still have it. But if you enjoyed the video, we're gonna keep tearing this thing down. Next thing I think is gonna be starting to get things put on, getting things welded in place. That way we're gonna know how long we need the links to be and everything. And then starting to cut down this Dana 60 axle, because the front's gonna go in first. I don't know, I'm debating whether or not I wanna start doing the axle swap before I have the money for full hydro, because it's gonna be probably the end of summer before I can actually afford to do that. So we'll see. It'll be, I don't know, it'll be a little bit of a running process, but yeah, we're just kind of waiting. I don't know, I might throw in the Dana 60 axle, because either way I can't steer it. So truthfully, the Dana 30 being there does nothing but allow me to roll because it has tires. That's it. So we'll see. Not a lot else I can do until I start getting into major welding. So more than likely that'll be kind of what the next video entails. That or trying to start pull suspension components off, one or the other. But if you enjoy these kind of videos, this thing's gonna be awesome. Can't wait to have it done. But yeah, we got a lot of work to do to this thing.